What did you buy this Black Friday? I'll tell you mine if you tell me yours. I'm just really curious about the gear that people buy, so I'd be really interested to know what you bought and why you bought it. If you didn't spend any money on this Black Friday, kudos to you. Now, I was very good over the last few years, and one year, I think 2 years ago, I didn't spend a penny. This year, however, I'm afraid I am probably on the naughty list. So, I will tell you what I bought. I will tell you why I bought it. I will tell you how much I paid for it. And I also tell you whether I think I got a good deal or not. And you might be thinking, Black Friday, you must have got a good deal, but we'll see. And I also tell you who I think these products may or may not be for. So in total, I bought about 5 pieces of software. Let's start with the first one I bought, which was the Ujam Everything Bundle. If you're not familiar with Ujam, it's a music software development company, and it was co-founded by Hans Zimmer, and he has contributed to some of the plugins using some of the sounds and effects that he uses in his movies. However, the main philosophy behind the instruments is that everyone should be able to use them. So the interfaces are generally fairly simple. They have 1 or 2 big dials on the front which control parameters such as lightness and darkness that they describe synthesizer terms in plain English. So these are perfect for anyone who wants to make music and play around with synthesizers and synthesis, but they really don't know anything about synthesizers. But they are also excellent if you don't want to dive down into the nitty-gritty of synth programming with oscillators and modulators and fillers and all that sort of stuff. You get some main dials to change the sound. You can dig a little deeper if you want to, but by nature they are designed to be easy to use. So they have a collection of synthesizers, a selection of drum machines, a collection of multi-effects which are quite interesting, the Finisher series. Now when I bought the bundle, I think they've added a couple of more instruments to the lineup. When I bought it, there were 66 plugins in the bundle. Now, what is particularly interesting, if you have seen some of my other videos, you may recall I've had a bit of a go at some software companies for not giving existing customers a good deal. This particularly includes Arturia, also applies to Native Instruments and Steinberg as well. Some of the big companies, I think they just get you on board and try to get as much money out of you as they can. Anyway, Ujam has a very interesting approach to this. The more products that you own, the cheaper other products will be. And in my case, I actually happen to own over 20 Ujam plugins, and they had a special deal to buy the rest of them, which cost me £129.61, and in US dollars that's about $170. Now there were 66 plugins in the bundle. I don't know exactly how many I had before, but it was obviously more than 20, but let's say I had 20, so that means I was getting 46 new plugins for 130 quid. That works out at less than £3 per plugin. That's less than $4. Now, value is only value if you're actually going to use them, but I like the simplicity of them. Now, they do not have the depth of dedicated software synthesizers, but they are easy to use, they are fun to use, and they actually have some really good sounds. I do in particular like the drum machines, the Beatmaker series, which have different drums and patterns for different styles of music. Easy to use, fun to use, and I have used them in a few projects. Now, one slight niggle with them, certainly from my point of view, is that most of them are not actually NKS compatible, so they do not show up natively in Complete Control. Some of them do, but most of them do not. Now, if you're not sure about Ujam but are a bit curious, you can get a 1-month free trial of all of them. So if you want to satisfy your curiosity, you know what to do. So the next one, I feel as if I sort of got suckered into it, but I probably suckered myself into it. It was the Korg Legacy Collection number 6. Now, as it says on the box, this is a collection of some of Korg's legacy vintage instruments. New additions to Collection 6 include the Trinity, the PS3300, and I'm sure there's another one I just can't recollect. I think there are 19 instruments in the bundle in total. So other instruments, if I can remember, some of them include the Triton, the MS-20, I think the Poly-6, the Microkorg, the Mono-Poly, the Prophecy. So if you like Korg instruments, this has got to be on your wish list, I am sure. In fact, if you like Korg instruments, you probably already have one of the legacy collections already. So the whole pack cost me $299. Now, this was with the Black Friday 50% off deal, which was about 237 Great British pounds. Now, I said I felt I was suckered into it, and I suckered myself because I do like Korg instruments, and this has been on my wish list for a long time, but there are a couple of reasons why I didn't bite the bullet until now. If you subscribe to the Korg newsletter, you will know that they often run sales, and virtually all the sales offer 50% discount. That is the biggest discount I have ever seen on any Korg software. My take on it is that's the price. Occasionally Korg will double the price, but 50% discount, that is really the price you should be looking for. So if you break it down on a per instrument basis, if there are 19 instruments in the pack, $299, that's about $16 per instrument, which sounds like a good deal. And maybe it is, but there are several instruments in the pack which I'm just not interested. They've got a Vox Continental organ. I never liked the things when they came out. I've got a feeling there's one in the Arturia pack. I don't know. Not interested in that. They've also included an electronic piano, as if we need any more electronic pianos, and an acoustic piano. So there are instruments here I am just not going to bother installing. So from that point of view, each product costs rather more than that. Now, another niggle is there is no consistency in the interfaces. Just looking for the presets, for example, took a bit of time. Arturia's V collection, all the instruments have presets at the top, little arrows to click up and down, click on the preset and you get the browser. Not so with this. It seems as if whoever was in charge, if indeed anybody was in charge, because it really looks like an assorted collection of random instruments in a sense. It looks like somebody's just picked 19 programs at random and given them each the job of producing one of these instruments. There doesn't seem to be any joined up messaging, any joined up thinking here at all. So that's a bit disappointing. The other disappointment is that these are not NKS compatible, and this is one of the main reasons why I have not jumped on board until now. Now, I don't know why they are not NKS compatible. I know there are people out there who just don't use Complete Control. That's fine. It is free if you want to use it. It just saves me literally hours every single month. But if you don't want to use it, that's fine. But I do know there are a lot of people who do use it, and not including NKS compatibility limits your audience. It also limits the functionality of the things. Now, I don't know the reason why they are not NKS compatible, but if I were to speculate, and this is just pure speculation, my speculation would be that Korg thinks they are a big name brand and they do not need to liaise with anyone else, such as Native Instruments. However, that totally misses the point, and I think anyone who has made this decision is sticking their head in the sand. It's not about liaising with another company. It is about making the products better and easier to use for your own customers. So that's my theory. However, there is a company in Australia called Freelance Soundlabs, run by a guy called Jason. G'day. And he has produced a gazillion NKS packs for the instruments which manufacturers, for one reason or another, can't be bothered to do themselves. So as I rely on Complete Control so much, I went over to his shop and bought the NKS pack for Legacy Collection 6. So this cost 122.9 Australian dollars in total, which was about £63. So not exactly cheap, but it makes the Korg collection more usable. So I'm not happy that because of Korg's head in the sand attitude towards NKS, I had to spend another 63 quid to make them show up in Complete Control. One of the disadvantages of the packs is that they appear in the user section of Complete Control rather than the main window. But still, I can select and use and browse through all the Korg collection without having to load each instrument separately. So that alone is going to save me a lot of time. So I don't think I got such of a good deal with this one, but I do like Korg, and if you like Korg, this is definitely something you should check out. So the next purchase is something I have wanted for a few weeks, if not months, and I knew there's going to be a sale on Black Friday, so I waited. And what did I get? I got 2 new voices for Dreamtonics Synthesizer V. Now, if you're not familiar with Synthesizer V, it is a vocal synthesizer. It sings. You can put words into it and it sings like a singer. And it is actually quite excellent. You need to buy the Synthesizer V software to start with. You get a voice with that. There used to be, I don't know if this still is, a basic version, which is actually free, but it runs standalone. Now the Pro version runs standalone, but it also runs as a plugin, which I think is easier to use inside your DAW if you are creating songs. So the 2 voices I wanted were from a third-party company called Eclipsed Sounds, and they produce some excellent voices. I have Selena and Soros and NYL from Eclipsed Sounds already, and they have 2 new ones. The first one is called Havoc. Shall we call it Havoc? HSVOC. We'll call him Havoc. And he has a sort of rock and metal voice. Very good. I really like the demos. I'm really looking forward to using this in some songs. The other one is an opera singer called Galilea. I think, why don't they just call them Fred and Susan? It would just make life so much easier. But this is also excellent, and I'm just bursting with ideas of using an operatic voice in normal songs, shall we say, putting it into electronic music, using it in ambient music, singing vocals. I'm just blown away by the possibilities. Of course, I have yet to realise any of those possibilities, but I find these 2 voices very inspiring. Now, for whatever reason, Eclipsed Sounds do not take PayPal. They only take credit cards. Now, I like using PayPal because I feel as if I am more in control of my payments. However, I haven't logged into my bank account, so I can't tell you exactly how much I paid for these. But on the website at the moment, and I'm not sure if this is a deal still, I have a feeling they only ran the deal over 3 days from the Friday to the Monday. But it is currently listed, these voices are individually listed at £77 each. Now, when I bought them, if you bought 1 voice, you would get a 20% discount. If you bought 2 voices, you would get a 25% discount. If you bought 3 voices, you would get a 35% discount. So I bought the 2 voices and I got a 25% discount. So whatever that works out at. So did I get a good deal? Well, I am on the Eclipsed Sounds newsletter, and I don't recall them running any special deals. Maybe they have, but I just don't recall them doing so. But they did say that the Black Friday deal was their best offer ever. So I think I probably got a good deal on these 2 voices, and as I say, I am super excited to use them. Now, who would this appeal to? Well, I infamously, I can't sing. I really can't sing. Can't sing, don't sing, won't sing. Just Absolutely not. But I do love the sound of the human voice. So if you want someone to sing your music, to sing your songs, or if you want to use them as backing singers, they're very good for that. Synthesizer V, I think, is something you ought to look at. Now, to produce these voices, Eclipsed Sounds works with real singers who, it says, are compensated for their work, and they also get a percentage from the sale of each of the voices. So it's very professional and very ethical. Sticking with Dreamtonics, they also have a piece of software called Vocal Flex, and this lets you sort of morph 2 or more voices, I believe, into one voice, so you can combine characteristics from 2 or more different voices, and they don't have to be Synthesizer V voices, they can be your own voice or audio voices. Now, obviously, this is open to misuse. And before you're allowed to buy this and to download it, you have to go through an identity check. And it's part of the get to know your customer system or whatever. So I had to send passport photographs and a photograph of me holding the passport before I was allowed to download it. Now, I have not tried this at all. I do have a used case for it. I have a particular song and I want a particular tone in the voice, which the usual voices do not give you. They're very young and very polished. I want something a little bit different. So I am hoping I can use Vocal Flex to produce that sort of vocal sound. I might even get some of my own vocal inabilities into it, not as a singing, but as a not as a singer, but as a characteristic. So excited to try that. So if you like the idea of morphing different voices together, this is definitely something I think you should take a look at. Just check it out and see what it can do. Now, as well as Vocal Flex, when you buy Synthesizer V, you get a voice with it. So when I bought it, I got a voice called Mai, which is a female Japanese vocalist, although she does sing in English. Now, Dreamtonics recently updated Synth V to version 2, and version 2 has many more new features, and to take advantage of them you need to upgrade the voices as well. Now, I had already upgraded my Eclipsed Sounds voices, so I thought I would take this opportunity to upgrade my Dreamtonics voice as well. So the My upgrade was $27, Vocal Flex was $139. It's normally $200. I thought that was a bit on the heavy side. 130, not too bad. However, our Japanese friends decided to add a tax to that. So the two cost me £154.94. So this was a better deal than the normal price. So I'll have to say I will get on with them, but quite excited to try them out. So the last one on the list, it's a bit of an exciting one for me. It is the Output Complete Bundle. Now, Output is a music software developer. You may possibly know them as the producers of Arcade, which is a subscription service, which I just do not like subscription services. But they also have some really interesting software, and the Complete Bundle gives you, I think there are 10 software programs in the bundle, so you get the 10 plus expansions, and some of this has been on my radar for quite a while. A lot of it is not new, but at the full price of, I just really didn't think this was such a good deal. I didn't want to spend that amount of money on something which might be a little bit iffy, if you know what I mean. And this is another company which added a tax to the price, and in total it cost me £264. So if you divide that by 10, that's how much each of the programs was. Now, the one I was interested in most of all was Exhale, because this is a set of samples in sound which are based on voices. The two pieces of software which are not libraries are Portal and Thermal, and these are very interesting effects processors. Now, I have had a very limited play with the libraries and with the effects. I can't go into any great detail about them, but I will say that what I have heard so far, they impress me as being very professional, very original libraries and plugins, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what they can do. And combined with the expansion packs, there is a lot of material here. So even with the tax, I think this was a pretty good deal, especially given the quality so far of the products. Now, these will appeal, I think, to anyone who makes any sort of electronic music. The range is really interesting. The sounds that I've heard so far are quite different. Well worth checking out. So that's what I have been doing over the Black Friday period. Let me know what you think. If you have any of these instruments, let me know what you think of them. Or even if you don't, let me know if you think I made good decisions or bad decisions. Time will tell. But also do let me know what, if anything, you bought over Black Friday. I hope you found this interesting, informative, possibly mildly entertaining. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. I will see you again in the next video.